How can I use the built-in API in LISTSERV Maestro to add subscribers to a list from an external website? In an earlier tutorial, we covered how to work with the automatically generated subscriber website pages that LISTSERV Maestro maintains for all of your lists and list groups. These pages, where people can subscribe, unsubscribe, and manage their subscription profiles, can be fully customized for a seamless fit with your existing website. For extra flexibility, LISTSERV Maestro also comes with a built-in API, which allows you to add subscribers to your list from an external website. Let's take a look at how we can take advantage of this API to make it easier to grow your lists in new and creative ways. To get started, open the main menu and click on Subscriber Warehouse. Then select the list or list group that you'd like to work with. Right-click on it and select Website Page URLs under Public Subscriber Website. Here you will find the URLs to the public website pages that are maintained by LISTSERV Maestro. These are the URLs that you would use when directing your website visitors to subscribe to your email lists. Note, however, that even though you can fully customize these pages to look exactly like your main website, they are still hosted by LISTSERV Maestro under a different URL. To allow for subscriptions directly from your website, you have two options. The simplest option is to use the so-called mini subscribe form. To see what this entails, click on one of the links on the screen. You will now see a very short and simple HTML snippet that you can place anywhere on your website, for example in the footer section, so that the subscription option will be available at all times. Note, however, that this mini subscription form isn't self-contained on your website. It simply submits the email address of the person to the LISTSERV Maestro subscription website, after which they will finalize their subscription there. If you want a completely self-contained subscription system for maximum flexibility, this is where the API comes in. The first thing that you should do is to take a look at the special URL for subscriptions by API calls. Copy this URL and save it somewhere for future reference. To use the API method, you would simply program a short script on your website, which takes the information that a subscriber has entered and then makes a call to this Maestro API URL with all of the required data to initiate the subscription. This has the advantage that a subscriber never needs to leave your website. You can also customize and style your subscription form any way you want, and the subscription call to Maestro will occur in the background. Let's take a look at a clever use case where this can be extremely helpful for growing your email lists. Let's say that you have a contact form on your website, or maybe even the checkout page if you're running an e-commerce shop. You could include a simple checkbox at the end of the form offering people the additional option of also subscribing to your newsletter at the end of the process. When that form is submitted, and if the checkbox is checked, then the script would take all of the necessary data from your contact form and make a call to the Maestro API to initiate the subscription process for that person, without having to ask them to fill out a separate subscription form. So how does the API call actually work? Let's take a closer look. You can use many popular scripting and programming languages to make this call, including ASP, PHP, and even JavaScript or jQuery. you would simply make a call to the API URL with the container, owner, and list ID exactly like it's shown in the URL. You would then submit the subscriber data, including the email address and any other profile information that you need as part of the mSubscriber string. The format of this data needs to be in JSON format, which also needs to be URL encoded. Let's take a look at a simple ASP script that does exactly this. In this example, if the person who is filling out the form checks the subscription box, which is named subscribe, then the following happens. The email address is taken from the text field called email. The name is taken from the text field called name. Then in this example, we also have a text field for country, which we'll also submit because our subscriber list is configured to collect this information. You don't necessarily need to submit data for fields that you have configured as optional, but you do need to submit data for all mandatory fields, or the subscription will fail. Next, we URL encode all of the subscriber data and append it to the URL that contains the container, owner, and list ID. We then make the API call and send the data. LISTSERV Maestro will then respond with result success if the subscription request was successful, or result failed with the reason for the failure if it was unsuccessful. The most common reasons for an unsuccessful attempt is if the email address is already subscribed to the list, or if a mandatory profile field is missing. You can parse this response and display an on-screen error message if you want. Here is the same kind of code snippet, but this time using PHP, which is slightly shorter and simpler. Again, if the checkbox called subscribe is checked, the script collects all of the required data from the form, URL encodes everything, and makes the call to the special LISTSERV Maestro API URL. Note that these code snippets are just examples, and these API calls can be made in many different ways, depending on your preferences and the programming language of your choice. Thank you for watching.